Hello everyone and welcome back to NeoBurgh. Today we're going to be connecting the last cities in NeoBurgh to public transport. We need to figure out how we're going to connect Maplethorpe Sutton and Kesgrave to the rest of the public transport network. I think this is going to involve Knaresborough, Southwold, Winsford and Tow Law, but truth be told, I don't currently know. I mean, I have an idea, or at least I have a few, but due to several factors such as topography and location, I'm unsure of an ideal route. So let's plan this one out a little. Here is a screenshot overviewing the area that we're going to be working with today. To make it a little easier to digest, here is the cities within the screenshot indicated with the stars. They're all numbered to easily differentiate them, and here's what the numbers mean based on the cities 1 through 10. Now, here are the current public transport lines running through the area, and overlaid here, we've got the track that we've built in previous episodes that doesn't currently have a line on them. Okay, so that's a good overview of the area that we're working with. But it would also be good to analyse the statistics such as population and destination data of these cities. I've gone ahead and collected these into a spreadsheet to allow us to decipher what the current situation is. So that we can easily break these down, each column is colour coded, red being the lowest and green being the highest. This quickly and easily allows us to identify the smallest and largest cities in the screenshot currently. We can see that Winsford, somewhat unsurprisingly, is the largest, with Ilkeston surprisingly trailing in second. I didn't really expect that one. We can also see that Tow Law, Southwold, and then West Ham and Tring just behind them. The rest of the cities are quite small, but that's fine because they're likely going to grow with the changes that we're going to make, as public transport can be a large force for population growth. As we can see, the only cities without public destinations are currently Kesgrave and Maplethorpe Sutton. Hailsham is close behind, which makes perfect sense to me, as we've only introduced a tram network around that city so far. What I'm actually personally quite surprised about is Southwold having the highest number of public destinations, and then Tring and Ilkeston closely following. I think this may have something to do with us recently introducing a public transport line into these cities. Please take this with a grain of salt because I'm not entirely sure how this mechanic works, but I think that new lines have an influx of passengers initially, sort of like a spike, and then after a period of time they settle into normal numbers going forward. If you do know conclusively how it works, then please let me know in the comments below because I would be interested in knowing that. Finally, we can see that private destinations tend to follow the topography or geography of the city's locations and its proximity to other cities. For example, Knaresborough being the lowest on the list, which is effectively on its own island in the corner of the map. There aren't that many cities nearby it. From what I can see, this makes perfect sense because the biggest factor that impacts this number is the road network around the city and time it takes people to get to their destinations. Again, don't quote me on this as I'm not entirely sure how the mechanic works, but I think that the number is impacted by how many destinations are within a certain time length via driving. So, for example, if a person can get to their destination within a 10-minute drive, I believe they'll go via a private vehicle. So that makes sense for Knaresborough because the closest city is Ilkeston, and even then it's across a river. Hopefully we can get several of the high private transport cities using public transport if we provide good links that provide a better connection than the road network to their destinations. This leads me nicely into the next, and you'll be happy to know, the last slide of information. This one shows us a breakdown of the city's top 10 destinations. To be clear, this only looks at the cities within this screenshot, or the area of the map that we're looking at, not the entire map. So basically, I've rather painstakingly gone through each city and noted down the city's top 10 work and shopping destinations if they're in our list of 10 cities of this area. So, for example, if a city's top destination were Burgh-le-Marsh, they'd not be in this list because Burgh Marsh is not in this area that we're looking at. The numbers are in order of the number of destinations, and all of these will be showing the top 10. So for argument's sake, if Hailsham had Winsford in at number 11, it will not be recorded in this, as it only looks at the top 10 destinations of each city and only being recorded if it's within our area that we're working in. Each number represents the city that is their destination. While they're in order, just because the number's first doesn't mean that another destination not in the list isn't higher. So for example, if Winsford had Burgh Marsh as the highest destination for working or shopping, it wouldn't actually be represented, but it would probably be the case. The numbers that are orange are destinations we've already worked on putting this new public transport link or links into, such as Hailsham and Southwold. The numbers that are green are cities that already have a public transport line going to them. I hope this all makes sense. I'm trying to explain this as clearly as possible, and I feel that this information in some way is the most useful when planning our route. This shows us the cities that citizens are currently going to, and my thinking is if we provide a decent public transport link, it has a higher probability to get used if we take on board this information. What we can see is that Hailsham, Kesgrave, and Maplethorpe and Sutton all have at least 7 cities in our screenshot list as their top 10 destinations, which is great. In some ways, this is to be expected though, as these cities only have private transport links, and as mentioned previously, location plays a big part in this. The next section over shows us the number of times a city has been the top destination and the number of times it's been within the top 3 across shopping and working destinations. To be clear, if a city is top on both shopping and working, it counts as 2, not 1. We're looking across each destination list individually. So a top score, considering there are 10 cities and 2 lists, would be 20. As we can see, Winsford is undisputably in the lead, with it being the top destination 11 times, and it's in all of the city's top 3 destinations. The next city down is Ilkeston, being top destination 5 times and being in the top 3 12 times. This is quite interesting because effectively it suggests to me that the top cities to link are Winsford and Ilkeston. Remember that these cities are already linked with a public transport link with the high-speed intercity 2 line. I think the main thing this indicates to us is that the cities within the screenshot all want good links to Winsford, which is understandable considering it's one of the largest cities in the area. However, on the flip side, Winsford really wants a connection to Total Law, as it already has one with Ilkeston, so we need to take that into mind when planning the route. Total Law also wants good connections to both Winsford and Ilkeston, as they are both in its top 10s and not currently directly linked to them. The good news is that Southwold, and by extension Hailsham, is already directly connected to Winsford with a high-speed intercity 2 line. Additionally, it is planned to be connected to the route we're currently planning. So, as we've already completed the train track between them in the previous episode, so episode 105, as we can see, Hailsham, Kesgrave, and Maplethorpe and Sutton want links to many of the cities in the area, so that may be quite tricky when planning the route. Speaking of planning the route, prior to this analysis, I'd considered quite a few different lines. One linked NeoBurgh to Kesgrave, and on to Southwold and Hailsham. However, that would leave Maplethorpe and Sutton out. That same line could link into Winsford instead of Southwold and Hailsham, but it does raise the question, what would happen about the Maplethorpe and Sutton station? Perhaps a line from Southwold and Hailsham going to Maplethorpe and Sutton, then to Total Law, could be the answer. Truth be told, it's been a real head scratcher about what would be best and how many routes to do and where they should all link in. But then it dawned on me, the line between Loughton, Ilkeston and Knaresborough don't necessarily have to be their own thing. In fact, we could link Ilkeston and Loughton into the Kesgrave Express 2 line that already exists. This allows us to make more use of the existing line, its trains, and creates a direct link between Tow Law and Ilkeston. So without further ado, this is a rough plan of the new routes. In fact, they're not new at all. Instead, they're expansions of the current Kesgrave Express lines. We can expand the existing Kesgrave Express 1 line from Winsford to link into Kesgrave and Maplethorpe and Sutton via Tow Law. Then it will link into Southwold and Hailsham, completing these planned routes. This will hopefully mean that passengers can quickly and easily transfer to the high-speed Intercity 2 line to quickly get from Southwold to Winsford. If I'm honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Kesgrave Express 1 turning back on itself, but I think given the tricky geographic location of the cities, it's the best solution we have at our disposal. In fact, I think it's a great opportunity to explore a transport medium that doesn't have the train's weaknesses to hills: the bus. As we can see from the brown lines, these cities are relatively close but have very tricky terrain, so we'll be putting in bus lines between Southwold and Kesgrave, then another between Kesgrave and Maplethorpe and Sutton, and another between Maplethorpe and Sutton and Winsford. This should mean that there are more direct routes to these specific locations, but in honesty, I don't know how popular the lines will be, considering there's also train lines to these same cities. Only time will tell. Okay, so we're going to begin by putting in stations for Maplethorpe and Sutton and Kesgrave down here. So what we first need to look at is the sort of composition of the city. So we've got the residential zone down here, the commercial up here, and a little bit of industrial just over here. So I think that this area over here may well be the best for a train station. That being said, the residential zone is sort of sprawling out that direction, and if we put in a connection for the public transport, then it's most likely going to grow a fair bit. So I think what we'll do, if we do build out this way, is build towards this side, so it's a little bit further away from the main bulk of the residential zone, because we don't want to cause any emissions. Where does that road go? Goes out to the brick factory down there. Yeah, as I was saying, sorry to get a little bit distracted. We don't want to be causing any emissions for the residential area, because that will cause it to not grow. It will effectively cause emissions down here. So at the moment we're on -10, which is fairly good. It's not zero, but at the same time, if we look at the emissions layer here, we can see that there's quite a few different things going in and out of the city, and I think that's mainly this line here. So we potentially could look at that as well in future, but right now we're focusing on the public transport line. So I think, as I said, somewhere over here would be pretty good. Let's just check the contour lines, because it may make putting in a train line a little bit tricky. What I think we'll start by doing is probably flattening an area over here. I don't want to have too much strength on my brush, but if we were to just flatten out this area so that we can then put in the train line, or the train station here, sorry. So we're going to begin by putting in our train stations, and then hopefully we can put in some decent connections. So we need a 2-track 160 meter high-speed train station. So I think if we place it sort of further back into the hills here, That'd probably be the best place for it. And then once we've built this up, we can smooth this all out and it should look really nice. Because Kesgrave's a bit of a smaller city at only 214 residents, what we're going to do is we're going to go in and just put in a couple of the medium and some of the smaller side buildings. So that's our first station in this particular episode. So that's the Kesgrave station. If we were to put a station in Maplethorpe and Sutton, it's going to be a tricky one because we ultimately don't want to be building near the residential zone, as we've just explained, because of emissions. However, with Maplethorpe and Sutton, the residential zone's a bit all over the place. We've got some residential buildings which are sort of spotted in the industrial and commercial areas. In fact, we've got quite a few, some actually fairly large ones, so it's a bit of a tricky one where we're going to actually put this. I mean, we're going to be going from here up, so we could probably go maybe somewhere on this side. Like if we just thread the needle and put it in here, that might work. It's still got some residential buildings towards it, but we could probably like prune these back a little bit, so to speak, and just remove out some of the ones which are a little bit further into like the industrial and commercial areas. I don't really mind cross-pollination of the industrial and commercial, because ultimately it doesn't really matter. It's going to affect how we put in our actual cargo lines, but I don't think it really matters for the public transport line. Now, that being said, we do actually have some fairly big lines coming into Maplethorpe and Sutton over here and over here. So the residential zone's already probably fairly affected. If we check, it's at -20, which is mediocre. But bearing in mind, this line will be so for Maplethorpe and Sutton, it will be going from Southwold down here through up to Tolaw. And that one will need to be coming out this way. So putting it in here is probably the best place for it, with the situation that we've got at the moment. So if we clean up some of these roads, I think what I'll do is I'll just put this one in here, maybe even lower it a little bit so it doesn't effectively look out of place too much. And then down here is kind of where we struggle a little bit, because we've already got a road here, although admittedly it's just for a farm. There's nothing actually coming down here road-wise. If we check the road lines, there is nothing that's sort of coming down here. So it might be a case that we need to rejig the roads, so to speak. So if we grab our high-speed rail, now bearing in mind, Maplethorpe and Sutton is actually quite a popular destination. So Maplethorpe and Sutton does have 310 people at the moment. Bearing in mind it's not had any public transport connections up till now. I think Maplethorpe and Sutton's probably going to grow quite quickly. So I think with this particular city, what I want to do is use a larger building and then a couple of the smaller ones on the around the outside. and then maybe even some small ones just on the edges there. So that will be the main Maplethorpe and Sutton public transport rail station. We can probably rework this road in, but for now I don't want to necessarily affect it too much. So that will be our sort of destinations that we'll be going to. If we just put in some connections for the actual tram lines that will be going through the cities, then we can. I really want to involve this road that comes in here, so because I think it looks quite nice where it's going under this, or over this tunnel, I should say. I don't know whether when we put this road in, whether we meant for this tunnel to be here, but it actually works quite well with the current situation, so I'm going to involve it. So we're going to come out like this, and then I'm going to try connecting into this road relatively smoothly. I think Smooth Tool will fix any issues here, so we don't need to worry about that too much. And then that's ready for us to put in lines around Kesgrave. And then up here, we're going to do a fairly similar thing where we put in our tram building. And then if we come out staying relatively flat, so if we take a look at the current situation for rail, if we were going to connect this road back in, I think it would be best here because the rail might well go into a bridge and we might be able to go underneath with the road. But I don't want to focus on that for now. We have this connection here, and we will be putting in the roads after we've put in the rail. So to begin with, what I'm going to do for this particular line is connect in this station with the Tolor station down here. And I wonder what happens if we just put it in like that. So it actually probably would work if this road was a little bit out the way. So let's just try that, because ultimately this can move this particular building here. So let's try that again. Okay, so it's still colliding. It's still colliding with this particular road. So I'm going to take that one out. And I'm actually going to take this depot out as well. And we can put that over here if we need to, or something like that. So if we connect this side up, it's still colliding. It's only just colliding with that road, which is a little bit annoying. Considering we've just tried to get it out of the way anyway. But other than that, it looks like it should be fine. Connecting through. It does go into a tunnel. That's to be expected with all these mountains around here. But ultimately, it's a very high-speed connection, going down to about 122. But other than that, it's a really good connection. I think we're pretty happy with that. So I'm just going to... Ooh, comes out just there. That's interesting. I'm just going to bring these down individually. So then hopefully we can actually connect these up without them being separate. So we've got our new track in from Maplethorpe and Sutton to Tolor, and we've also got our connection, or our station for Kesgrave. So with that in mind, I think it might be worthwhile trying to connect in Kesgrave to Maplethorpe and Sutton as well. I'm going to keep Maplethorpe and Sutton straight and relatively flat, I mean. So it's going to go into a tunnel fairly early on, but that's fine because we've got quite a few roads here which might be troublesome. So if we come through like that, and then if we prep the other end, what we probably want to do is go into this sort of tunnel for the hills here, although it does come out here. I don't know about that. If we just take this road out for the time being, I have to try and remember to put it back in, then that will hopefully work fairly well. I don't mind there being a crossing there. In fact, let's check the heights. So this one is 20 meters above sea level, and then this one is actually at 150 meters above sea level. So it's got a fair way to rise up. And we've also got quite a few different sort of cargo buildings in the way. So we've got this refinery, steel mill, and oil well in the way between here and here. I wonder what would happen if I literally just connected them both in, what route it would take, bearing in mind we've already pulled this one out to here. Oh wow, it actually goes off the map. So it goes into a tunnel off the map. That's interesting, actually. You can see the outline of the mountain. It's almost like the mountain continues out past the square that we've got. So that's a bit weird, but anyway. It does connect up, but admittedly, I'd rather it be a bit more of a sharp bend here to follow the line of this sort of mountain range. But it's completely possible, which is good. And to be fair, that's a fairly high-speed connection round, but that's not necessarily what we want to be going for right now. So I think what we'll do is we'll sort of bring the connection up this way and go into another tunnel on this side. And we've actually got a nice bridge here, which we can use to put that road back in. So we can make use of that. So let's just do the other side as well. This will be pretty much where we want it to go. And the bridge is correct, the tunnels are correct. Yeah, that looks fine to me. So we're going to put that in. Now what happens if we just connect these two up? There is a collision, and it's going through this particular factory. And it's colliding with it. And it's actually going over this other train line, which is a bit nuts, really. Yeah, we're going to have to try and work out how we want this to work. I think if we bring it out from this side first, it's probably going to be a bit better. And we don't want it to be going up. We want it to be, if anything, going down. So I don't want it to go down too steeply. And to be fair, that's still quite a high-speed connection. Like, it's quite a high-speed curve. So that's good. We just need to try and avoid that particular steel mill here. So if we did something like this, hopefully it should... Let's just raise it up a little bit. It should avoid that steel mill. So we'll continue this down to that point so that they're snapped up and next to each other. Right, okay, so now there's too much slope and there's also construction not possible. So it's trying to go through actually right where the other train line is. It can't do this, but other than that, it seems like it's fine. So let's just take out this road. There's no lines here anyway, so we're not removing anything of value. So I think what we'll do is we'll come down to this point, and we're going to be going down to try and meet that other train line as best we can. In fact, that's already really far down, actually. I would guesstimate that's probably further down than the other line. Let's check. So if it was around here, this is 119 meters. And then if we find where the other line comes out, this is 77. So actually that might be about right. So let's give that a try. So if we go from this side, try and pass as close to that other connection as possible. Maybe just whack it down a little bit. Make sure that's going to avoid that. It's roughly in line with the other train line. If anything, it wants to be more over a little bit. I'm going to go with that. So we just need to bring the other side out. And then hopefully if we connect these up, it may well just work now. Yeah, it's going underneath that other line. We've got a fair viaduct here because we've got quite a big valley between the two mountains and hills and what have you. But other than that, it's fairly decent of a slope. I wish that was something that it did tell you, is the height where it originates and the height where it terminates for the particular line that you're putting in, so that you can tell whether it's you know, an even slope, so to speak. So we'll just put that in, and then we'll follow that up through here, up that way, making sure that tunnel is a dual tunnel, because sometimes they don't work even though you've snapped them together. And let's just see here. Connecting these two up. That tunnel is perfectly fine. It goes into a viaduct just because this is a very big valley. You can see it where the shadow goes. Like it's almost like a bow shape, this, and you know, it's going to be relatively unavoidable putting that in without doing something there. So that's absolutely fine. So now we've got effectively Maplethorpe and Sutton, Tolaw and Kesgrave connected in with track. We haven't actually put a line in, but that's like the easy bit, so to speak. So yeah, what is probably going to be a bit harder is to put in a connection from this particular station through. We might have put this in line with this particular field. I don't know whether we'll be able to save that field, annoyingly. It's a close one, that's for sure. That might just be okay. It's hard to tell. But we need to connect it in down here. So what that means is that we're going to need to, and bearing in mind this is at 33 meters, it's actually higher than Kesgrave, weirdly enough. But it needs to go up to 212 meters above sea level. So that's going to be quite a climb for this particular track. It's going to be quite tricky. So let's just see what happens if we put this in just like this. Interestingly, it goes into a tunnel under this road, which I don't particularly hate, because quite frankly, I don't want there to be a crossing on what's effectively like a, you know, like a dual carriageway highway. Like it's quite a high speed road. I don't want to be stopping people from getting through. So it goes into a bit of a bridge here, which I'm not a massive fan of, but it is what it is. To be fair, it's actually working quite well. It's saying that we've got bridge pillar collisions, which we could probably just remove by making these one of the higher level bridges. Something like this. It will remove that field. It's just a bit too close, annoyingly. It's possible that we could raise this so that it goes into a bit of a bridge out to this point, and then it starts its descent down. And to be honest with you, I'm not a massive, like, I quite like this line. The speed limit is fairly high throughout, with the exception of like maybe around here, but none of our trains are going to be doing 186 miles an hour. So we don't have to worry too much. So if we just try coming out and keeping it straight and flat, what happens? All of a sudden, it doesn't kill that field, it goes over this road, and it looks quite good. I quite like the look of that, because it's a very high speed line. I think that we would have a viaduct, and it also allows us to put the road in underneath here. So remember, this road that we already had beforehand, we can put back in, albeit if it goes underneath the train lines, and we don't want it to have the in fact, we probably want it to be on a bit of a curve. So I'm going to do like flat to there, and then come out from this one, going into a bit of a curve here, and then hopefully that connects up really nicely with this one, and that continues that road out to here. Admittedly, I don't know why it is a medium country road when it's only going out to a field, like a farm. It's a bit pointless of an upgrade, but anyway, it is what it is at the moment. So I think what we need to do is just navigate down here to where we want it to roughly be, and then we can take that and pretty much work with it. So I don't want it to be going up too high, and I would prefer if this was just one tunnel, so it doesn't come out of the tunnel. So then we'll be connecting that up with that bridge that we just put in up here. And admittedly, this needs to be like this, and that's going to be a bit of an issue, but let's just see whether we can tweak it. It does say it's too much slope, which is a little bit worrying. What happens if we tweak it? So that would work, but then we've got collision down here, which is a bit problematic. Are we able to do, say, a train line here? So it works there. That actually works without too much slope. We might do that, I think. So it avoids this highway through, and it also avoids this cargo line, and then it avoids it again here. So that's good. And then what I might actually do is try and put in a bit of a curve here, or a bit more of a curve, I should really be saying. What happens if we just connect it in? So it does want to put a crossing here, but it's also working, which is perfectly fine. Like, we've got a main road through here. And to be fair, we could probably relocate this road so that it avoids going into the crossing here. So let's just remove that road, just so it doesn't have any impact whatsoever. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this further back to where it comes out from a tunnel. And then hopefully this will create quite a nice curve here. 186 miles an hour. Top speed through. So we'll just do the same going back. Hopefully that tunnel's all linked up. So we'll do that. And we can rework this road a little bit, just so that it does what we want it to. There we go. So we've got that road still connected up. And it still connects down this way as well, which is quite nice. But we do have the other road going through to Kesgrave. So there's no worries about Kesgrave being affected by this line. In fact, to be fair, Kesgrave has quite a good little connection there to Winsford, which is really good for Kesgrave. But anyway, we've put in this train line up to Maplethorpe and Sutton. So all that's left to do, connecting up this particular train line, is the connection through to Kesgrave. And hopefully, if we check our contour lines, yeah, it's only at 20, whereas down here it's practically at 0. 5 meters above sea level. So I don't know what we're going to do to get the train line through here. We put this one into a tunnel, which means that it would block this line coming through and going up that way. So it's a bit problematic, but there's worse problems to have, to be honest with you. So if we just keep this one going straight, it may cause a little bit of a kind of a cliff there, but we'll just try to ignore that one. So yeah, what we do here really is the question. And to be fair, like this connection is going to be more important than this road, so we may well have to go over. But then, admittedly, we would have to go into a tunnel at some point. We would have to go into a tunnel to connect into this particular train line down here, train station down here. So if we explore that route coming through, how that would look. At the moment, it wouldn't work the way that we've got it, because we've got this particular road coming through, this highway through to Southwold, and then we've got this other train line here. What else does it collide with? Nothing else, which is, I guess, a bit of a blessing in disguise, because we've got quite a few different tunnels here. It's literally just this point that's going to be the problem at the moment. And to be fair, we could just go up and over. I reckon it would work. If we get rid of this bridge for the time being, we'll try and put it back in, but like I said, is not as important as this connection. And then we'll probably be wanting to go this direction. Relatively flat. Can we raise that up so that it just goes into a bridge here? So it's doing that bit as a bridge. That's more like it. So the bridge pillar is getting in the way here, but that does work. Albeit it's very tricky. What I might do is just take out this road for the time being, because we'll need to put it back. We can put it back in. I don't want to leave it without that road there. But if we can get the bridge in first, we probably want this to be flat and then going into a bit of a bridge here. I'm just wondering how high I need to take it before it actually... Well, that's annoying. It was working just a second ago. Okay. Right. Let's take this line back. And we'll bring it up at a further point back here. So that's way too high. But if we now bring it down to where it kind of goes into a bridge, so one step before it, we should then be able to come across, put that into a nice bridge over, and then hopefully that will go into a tunnel. We might not have done that quite right. So let's try that again. This one needs to go into a tunnel so that we go underneath this farm. Oh, it doesn't like it. It likes it there. That works. We'll make that work. So let's put the bridge back in with a nice high-speed bridge. Let's also put this line in next to it, and hopefully this works. Yes. Okay, so that will be going towards Kesgrave. Yeah, it's completely underneath that other tunnel. We don't need to worry about that one. These ones, it's a little bit closer, but it still looks like it's underneath it. It's very hard to tell. That I'm fairly sure is underneath. That's underneath. Yeah, that seems to work. So we'll take it to this going back, making sure there's no issues with the other tunnels, considering some of them looked like they were quite close. But fortunately, it looks like it's worked without a problem. There we go. Boom. That track is now in. And quite frankly, it's all sorted. So if we were to continue this line through, this is at number 1, which makes it a bit tricky to put a line in. So it goes number 1, number 2, and then it comes back number 6. So if we put this one as number 7, don't worry about this for now, because we'll fix it, I promise. We're going to come back through up here. And then that's going to lead into the Southwold and the Hailsham train lines. In fact, we probably didn't do a crossing here, so we might need to put that in. Put in Kesgrave, and then all of a sudden it's back at number 1. So, oh, no, number 1. We want that to be nothing else other than number 4. And then it'll be going through to number 2. So we want that on number 3 realistically. Number 7 will be on number 4. And it'll be going through to number 2, not number 1. So that's now coming through perfectly fine. Up here, it'll be going up to number 3. So again, that's coming through perfectly fine. This one would be number 2. This one would be number 3. And then Hailsham's a bit of a troublesome one because we haven't quite finished the line here, so that's fine. If we had it coming into number 1 by default and then going to number 2 if it has to, that's perfectly fine by me. And then on the way back through, once we've put that connection in, it should work fine there. Yep, it's continuing through. As we can see, the lines are actually drawn in, and then it gets to Kesgrave, and then there's a bit of an issue connecting to number 1. What is the problem there? Because it looks like it's drawing the line. Why is it a problem? What's going on? Have we put in a signal the wrong way around? No. Okay, well, let's fix the problem at Southwold first, because we know what the problem is there. So if we take out these stops, we put these in as a straight through, because I do have a plan of what I would like to do down the line with it, but for now we'll keep it as is. So hopefully that will now work perfectly fine. Yep, looks like it is. Okay, I'm not too sure why it's having an issue between Kesgrave and Winsford, of all of them. Let's just check the train lines. So these continue up, and then these are going underneath, aren't they? All the way through. What's causing that problem? Could not connect to all alternate terminals. It's because it's trying to connect to number 4. There we go. That's fixed it. Awesome. Okie dokie. So if we just remove this crossing, and we might as well just add signals in rather than take them away. Then that goes across that way. We've got a train coming down to Winsford now, so that will be continuing through. I can't believe it's in. The line's actually sorted. Awesome. So this is the line that we've planned out and we have put in. Yes, it's a little bit of a confusing one here, and I'm not too sure how well it'll work. I'm hopeful. I really am hopeful, because quite frankly, as we looked at the numbers, these cities really want good connections between them. So Tolaw is a big one, Maplethorpe and Sutton's a big one, Winsford's the biggest one. So having Winsford connected via the green line here, and then also the crossing, the Crossburg, it just means that these other cities get connected in without an issue. So without further ado, let's see if we can put in our tram lines without too much problem, and hopefully we can get the line running here without too much of an issue. So if we go around Kesgrave with stops, I don't like how these are broken up. So what I'll do is I'll just do one continuous road through here with the tram tracks on, and then that should work fine. So if we put this in here, then that becomes one big stop, which is nice. We've got one on the edge, we've got one there. Let's put one down here. And then that's going to come down this way. Maybe we just put in another stop here. I know we've got one here, but we're not going to be able to connect these, like we're not going to be able to put them on the same connection, if that makes sense. So what we'll do is we'll just put in the tram lines with catenaries. Let's make sure that's in and working. Okie dokie. So then that's the tram route done for this one. I just want to make sure that these are upgraded roads so that they are like a decent speed. So we'll just fix that around here, and we might as well, while we're here, just fix up Kesgrave a little bit, give it some love and attention, upgrade these roads that have built in, which ultimately isn't too much of a problem. And then hopefully that means that things can get round Kesgrave a little bit easier. So let's put in our line for Kesgrave. So we're going to do our first one going counterclockwise. And then we're going to do our second going clockwise around the city. There we go. Nice. Okay. Let's get a tram depot in. I don't really know where would be nice. Like, I don't necessarily just want to put it on the end here, but that might be the best place for it, really. So if we get the tram depot with the catenaries and pop it on the end here like this, it looks a little bit weird, but it'll work. So let's just grab the naming conventions from the other cities. Here's Winsford's one. And then line 2 was the one that was counterclockwise. I know that, so let's do that as Kesgrave. And then all we need to do is copy that. Did I delete it? Whoops. Good thing I copied it just in time. And then this one's number 2. Yeah, that's going around counterclockwise. So we just need to put in a second C here to signify that it's counterclockwise. And then that's all set up. So if we get a couple of these, put one on one of the lines and the other one on the other line. Hopefully I didn't just put them on the same line. Nope, they're all set up. So Kesgrave is now connected in. What I'm going to do before I neaten things up is just finish off what I'm doing here. So let's put in the same for up here at Maplethorpe and Sutton. So what I'm going to do for Maplethorpe and Sutton actually is have one stop which both of these lines will connect into going round, and then we'll just do ones around the edge. This should be perfectly fine. I don't know about up here, but we'll work it out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link these roads together. So we're going to come out straight, just connect in there. Here it might be nice and fun if we just put in a curve, and then all we need to do is upgrade to tram lines around the routes that it will be following. Here's a little bit of a troublesome one, but we'll just have to follow the road that we've got. And then hopefully that will be quite effective of a route. These are a bit close together, but there's quite a lot of buildings here and it'll probably grow a fair amount there. So I might even just put in a stop up here, just so that it's covering this area if it builds out that way. Yeah, I think that's going to be fairly decent. So remember, we're going to be going through these twice, so we want to go through this way. The only downside with that is it does mean that people might sort of build up at this particular stop quite a lot. But that should be, hopefully that should be fine. We'll have to see. I mean, there's room for changing this up. We might even do a road here that connects in, something like that. So it might change in the future. We'll have to see how busy it gets, really. But while we're here, let's put the name in. Let's just copy Maplethorpe and Sutton. Put it where the Kesgrave one is for this. Oh, it didn't select it. There we go. And then this one is counterclockwise. We'll copy that and put it on that name. Just making that clockwise. So that's Maplethorpe and Sutton all sorted out. I don't necessarily want to do what we did with the last one for the tram depot, so maybe we'll just pop this in like around here somewhere. It's a bit tricky with that other road. That works. Let's put it there. And while we're here, let's make sure that these roads are all upgraded to the medium, you know, the good tier of main road. Medium streets, because the small ones just seem to be a bit slower. A bit meh. Okay, so all those are highways in, medium highways in, which is quite nice. Down here we've got this main highway through. We've got a connection here. That splits there, and then we've got cut through. That's pretty good. Okay, so now these are all in. These are all in. Oh, we need to put in trams for these. Let's buy 2 of these. So one's going on the green line, one can go on the yellow line. It looks like an earthing cable, which are yellow and green in Britain. I might go with yellow. I'm not a massive fan of yellow, so I won't use it that often. But if we go with like yellow and darker yellow, then hopefully that looks fairly good in Maplethorpe and Sutton. Over here, we've got green and brown. Let's go with... I'm sure that we've done green to death by now. Yeah, we've got a fair few green. We've got a fair few browns as well, to be fair. Do we go with green or do we go with brown? I'll go with... I guess if it's green, it will just blend into the grass, which is the only problem. We'll go with brown. We'll keep it brown and a lighter brown here, so you can just see the difference between the 2 lines. Okay, cool. So that should all be in place now. In fact, let's just pause it for a second. Yep, that's going to Kesgrave. And what's nice about this is that effectively, if people from here want to get to Maplethorpe and Sutton, they can effectively just go along on the Intercity 2 line and then up on, if I click on the right station, the Crossburg. But I think part 2 of this massive intercity connection is probably going to be putting in bus lines between some of these other cities, so that if someone wants to go just from Maplethorpe and Sutton to Kesgrave, they can just use a bus. Or from Winsford to Maplethorpe and Sutton, they can just use a bus. Or from Southwold up to Kesgrave, they can just use a bus. I think that's probably best. So I'm going to do that by expanding these stations here. Does mean that we lose a little bit of buildings, but I think I might actually building a little bit of capacity here, considering the buses might not be that sort of high frequency. So we're going to do, we've got this road through here as well, so they can use that quite easily. And then up here at Maplethorpe, oh, why did we do this? Were we going to do like a road through? I mean, it kind of makes sense towards Tolaw, because Tolaw already has quite a high number of people going to Winsford. So if we allowed them to have private connections through to Winsford, that might be quite a good idea. I'm just trying to think how we would properly do that. Probably off of this road or this one. Tolaw has actually grown to be quite a big city, which is quite cool. In fact, this one's pretty much in line with it, so it's probably best to just do this one. You know, I will do that, but I don't want to get distracted from what we're doing. Okay, did we put this road back in down here? No, we didn't. So let's go ahead and do that. Because what we don't want to do is forget... Oh, it's on straight, so... I don't want to forget how we have things. Why is there a collision? Oh, it's fine there for some reason. I won't judge it. I'll just totally not. This is totally not judging Alright, I'm going to try and raise this one up so that it goes over... Oh, I'm not sure about that. It can't go underneath either because we've got that tunnel there already. Oh, that's annoying. So, to avoid this bridge, it would have to go up like so. And quite frankly, it looks wrong, in my personal opinion. So, we won't be doing that. It's not that vital of a link, so we'll just take it out. And what I'll do is I'll make this a little bit more curved. It doesn't need to be in as it was, so it should be fine. But that new train bridge through is going to be very big of a link because it's connecting up Winsford to a number of other cities. So on that note, if we connect in Winsford to... that's a bit annoying. It won't fit on that side. That's actually a bit of a shame. What can we do about that? We could possibly take this out. If we just put them in two on either side, electric, we might be able to just fit it in just right. Yeah, I would say that's about right. And then if we take our electric connection, connect that in there. Cool, okay, we might even have space for an exit there. It really depends what we're going to do. If we're going to have this road coming up here now, to be fair, that already connects through, doesn't it? To Law down here. Oh no, that's the train line. Okay. We'll take a look at that going forward. So first things first. Oh, first things first. Let's fix this. So that should be on number 3. That one should be on number 2. So that looks better. Oh no, I don't want to buy vehicles. Sorry. Let's do a line between here and down here. Going to number 1, please. And then that currently kind of works. I think we put this in like this because we had some trouble getting it to work the way it was. So that's absolutely fine. We're gonna update that, I think. So we want to do a connection through to Kesgrave as well. Kesgrave's a little bit tricky as well. Down here. Oh, there's vehicles in the way of that. It's a little bit annoying. We kind of want this to be a 2-sized one as well. Ideally, it would go like that, I think. What vehicles are here? It's just the ones that are going onto the lines. They haven't quite got there yet, so we'll just remove those. We'll remove this and we'll put it back on once we get that sorted. So what we really want is for this road to continue out with electric tram lines straight, and I kind of want it to connect at that point. like so. Let's just see whether if we put a steps there, yeah, it does connect. So that's quite nice. We'll work out the tram building, don't worry about it. Let's sort that out. Tram building there. And let's get a couple of trams. Put one onto this one onto this one. And let's make sure that these are spread across the terminals that we have. So the second line, I keep pressing the wrong buttons, but hey ho, we'll be going between Maplethorpe Sutton and the oh, where is it? That's Total. Maplethorpe Sutton and Kesgrave. Put it on number 4. Nice. Okay. And then the final one from Kesgrave to down here. So we'll just put that in, and then we can put in a passenger booth here. And actually, if we put in some space either side, that will look quite nice, I think. Put that to number 3. What route is that currently taking? It's coming up this way. Ah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting route, but I think we could probably build in a bit of a shortcut here. Look, it's almost like the mountain knows that we're going to put a road here. So we might as well do that. We might even do a connection in here. That sort of thing will cut down a lot of emissions going through the city. So if we go ahead and try that, we don't want tram tracks on this one. I just want this to connect in, yep. And then hopefully, oh, the green line as well is going that way. Interesting. And then it cuts through this way. Okay. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, down here, I reckon it would be a lot better if we had this road coming through down here. So let's just try and connect these up, because this will actually help Kesgrave and both Hailsham and Southwold connect just via private connections. I don't really want it to not be a road, and I also don't necessarily want it to be quite so humped in the middle. So if we do that, bring it in down here. Let's see what happens if we just connect these up. That actually works. At that point it is going into a yeah. This one, it's going into a thingamabob. And by thingamabob, I mean a crossing. That's the word that I was looking for. So we're going to come up. Not quite so high. Like maybe like that. Oh, it's too much slope. Still too much slope. Why is it too much slope? What's going on there? Can we actually upgrade that road though? We can, so that's good. It fits. And then we're going to just basically alter how this, how the priority works here. So what we'll be doing is connecting this one in there and that one in like so. And here, I mean, I literally just want it to not go into a... What is it doing? Is it going underneath? I can't really tell. I don't think... No, it's colliding. So it's too much slope at that one. If we lower it down, then it's construction not possible. Okay, this doesn't seem to be working the way that we want it to quite. Maybe we just go through here. And then we can come out straight there, connect in there. That's not too bad of a curve. And then connect these two. It's doing another thingamabob there. So I need to go over or under it. Over. Kind of works. It's very extreme here, so let's try taking this back. So it looks like the natural sort of line of the road goes over anyway. It's just going into a bit of a... I don't like this. I'm not too big of a fan of this, but it'll have to work. So we've got a main road through. At this point, we could create a road through, but I don't think it's really necessary. I think coming down this way, that's probably already altered the route quite a fair bit, because it's still faster for it to go through that way, because it effectively cuts out having to go around all of this. It's more of a direct route down to Southwold. So I'm happy with that one. So this is the bus line, so let's call it public transport, so PT for short, road, because it's on the road. I sometimes number them, but with these I haven't been. So this would be between Southwold. In fact, let's use the abbreviations. So Southwold could be SWD maybe, or SOU, or STH, or Southwold. I think SWD works. To Kesgrave. And then we've got another line here which goes up this way. I think we're going to have to find some sort of better route for it, but that's sort of a work in progress for now. So if we just actually copy the bulk of the naming convention from this one, and then we'll rename this bit. So it's Maplethorpe and Sutton. So that's a fairly easy one to do an abbreviation for. It's just, press the wrong button. Maplethorpe and Sutton. M&S. Because you're worth it. There we go. So we got those lines in. We just need to put in this road line. So this would be Winsford to M&S. There we go. So hopefully that sort of cuts. Hopefully those bus lines are faster than someone going on the train line up to Southwold and then up to Maplethorpe and Sutton that way. Only time will really tell whether it gets used or not. I think that we're going to improve things here a little bit. So to do that, first things first, I'm going to give it an actual destination. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this road back a little bit. And we're going to bring it out as a medium, or a large street, sorry. And we're going to come out straight, but we're going to go into a tunnel. Hopefully it's going to go into a tunnel. I want it to snap straight, I think. I think that's straight. It's hard to tell. But then we're going to need to build out this road coming through so that it's oh, maybe not here. Maybe it goes up to that point, that's fine. These can be upgraded as well. So can this. That I'm not a big fan of. Why did it not just continue out from here? It's a bit of a shame that we don't have... Oh, we do have one-way streets. One-way medium street? Maybe we could make like a little one-way road bit, but I don't want to do that right now. So if we come back to this, this will be a main route through to not only Maplethorpe and Sutton, but also down to Winsford. So it's quite a big connection that we're putting in here. And it's really off the back of this other connection that we have going through. In fact, can we sort of curve it this way? Yeah. And I don't want it to do whatever this is doing. So it'll sort of be coming through this way. Again, don't want it to be doing whatever that is. Why is it doing that? Maybe if we like raise it a little bit here, go down and then change that to that. Maybe we can bridge pillar. Oh, come on. Work with me on this. Alright, bridge pillar doesn't be an issue till there. So we'll connect that end there. Do we want this to connect? I think it pretty much has to because it was there before. It's only fair, right? And I kind of just want those to be a giveaway. Now we run into another slight issue, which is this farm. However, if we connect that in there, that should do the trick. Actually, it's really weird how it's connected out that way, but it'll work because now we can do a road straight up to it. And that becomes quite a good little connection through. So if we do a road out this way, we can do a road off here, coming out towards this one. Might cause a little bit of a tunnel, but that's okay. And then that will be where that original one connects in. And we'll do an exit here as well that will connect into that road, because then that bus line should be coming up that way if it isn't already. There we go. Look at that. The Winsford bus line is utilizing that new road that we put in. And quite frankly, the tow law connection there now is much better for both Maplethorpe and Sutton, and also Winsford to connect through to. So that's a real positive from doing all that work. I mean, it may seem like it's not that much, but I expect these numbers to really go through the roof. This one should grow. So we've got that one. We've got that one. We haven't put buses on these yet, so we need to put some buses on these lines. These ones have survived the deletion of the deletion of the tram depot, so that's good. Right, so if we find a road depot somewhere nearby, that's a tram one. Where's a road one when you need one? I thought there was one around here, but there isn't. Oh, hang on, there it is. I guess that would work, but it's a bit far away, isn't it? Let's just put in a road depot. I think somewhere around here, where it's quite close to this highway, quite a decent connection to these highways as well. Is realistic. So we're looking for a decent bus. We could go for the electric one, which only carries 17, which is the only thing. Or we could go with the right streetcar, which is it's a diesel. It goes up to 62 miles an hour. It does have 6 more emissions, which doesn't seem like much on paper, but in reality it's probably a fair amount. We've got these other ones which are fairly small. Or we've got the Berghoff Duvedek. Sorry if I'm murdering that pronunciation, but that's also a diesel. It's actually higher emissions than the right streetcar. I think the right streetcar is probably the best one to go with. I'm going to put on 5 buses for each of the lines, so that way they have a decent amount of capacity on them. Because I don't know initially which one's going to be the busiest line. Probably this one over here, or more aptly, I don't know how much capacity they'll need in reality. But hopefully the train line should really cover it quite well. So yeah, we now got the line here. Let's find... Was it this one? No. Was it this one? The Crossrail line going through. Kesgrave Express 1 is set up. I'll tell you what I do need to do. I need to put in stops. Oh, the worst part of the game. Okay. You wait here. I'm gonna do this real quick. For you at least. Feel for me. I just noticed that this road needs to be put back in, so I'll just go ahead and do that before I forget. It's not connecting anything, so it's not that much of a problem, but I just don't want to remove it and not have it put back in. Okay, that should be all the stops in. So let's hit play and allow that to cycle through a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through with the smooth tool and just neaten things up a little bit. Oh, this train's having issues because it's trying to go to Upper Shorten. It shouldn't be trying to do that. It should be going to Kesgrave. So let's just fix that. Is that actually full? That's full. Wow. The people who were going to be expecting to go to Shildon are going to get a rude awakening when they end up in Kesgrave, and they're just going to be like, what? This isn't where I wanted to go. What's going on? Look at Winston in the background there. We'll catch up with that one later. Why do we do it this way around? Why don't we do it the other way around? Never mind. I think one thing I'll do for the bus lines, just so that they don't just go around empty constantly, is just ask them to fill up, but only wait for, say, 30 seconds. Here comes that train. Okay, everyone, you're not quite at Shildon, but this is Kesgrave at least. Enjoy. Is anyone going to get off? No. Everyone wants to go to Shildon, or probably on to other cities, to be fair. I don't blame them. If I was expecting to go to somewhere else on a train line, then all of a sudden didn't get to where I was expecting, I probably would have stayed on the train line as well. Staying on the train until, especially if it eventually gets to where I'm expecting it to go. Mind you, I guess it really depends. Right, okay, those are all set up so that they should wait, hopefully, for a little while at the bus depots. It may cause a little bit of a problem when they're at the bus depots and they're trying to connect through. as in if there's a bus waiting for no one and then a few other buses turn up. But it should just spread them out eventually, so I'm just going to leave it like that. That should be fine. These are not that busy considering, well, I guess it's because we've just put it on, so ignore me. I was just thinking they're not that busy considering like Maplethorpe was one of the bigger cities. I would have thought it would be busier, but probably just early days yet. Give it time. Patience, Rob, patience. Look at that, the road's fairly busy. That's good. It'd be funny if, out of everything that we did today, this road ended up being the busiest. I mean, slightly depressing of a thought, but it would be pretty funny nonetheless. But no, it really shouldn't be. It shouldn't be the case because like we've done so much analysis on this one, just trying to work out where the line should go because it's been it's a bit of a tricky one. But yeah, we managed to get it all sorted out now. I'm hoping it should work quite well. So let's neaten up this area. Oh, we didn't put this road back in. Okay, let's do that. I want to sort of follow where the road was before. Oh. Sounds like there's a train somewhere. It's a ghost train. I don't see where the train is. What's going on? Where's the train? There is no train. Oh, maybe it was these ones. That would make sense, I suppose. Where has that train gotten to now? Oh, we've got the other one coming through. Okay. This does make this line a lot longer. It's getting some use, which is good. I think Tolaw is really going to benefit from having these connections, to be honest with you. We'll have to wait and see. The smooth tool is doing what it can with what it's got. But when the roads are already a bit all over the place here, it's struggling somewhat. Yeah, I think that's going to look a little bit nicer. having been smoothed out. Oh, we actually took out the road here, didn't we? I don't think we're going to get it in there, to be fair. And to be honest with you, I don't think it really needs replacing. Yeah, let me know if you think it does in the comments. But ultimately, there's other ways around that way. Probably not here. Yeah. Oh wow, the Kesgrave line is actually really busy here. That's good. Okay. Cool. It's getting there with busyness. It'd be really cool if this, where the train lines go over each other here, if the two trains just like went over at the same time. Maybe, maybe not. But we've also got Hailsham connected in for the first time, and look at that, 77 people are waiting to go through. 65 of them want to go to Southwold. I mean, that might be because they want to swap over and then go on to one of the other train lines. Or they might even want to go onto the bus line, who knows. Where are these buses? These ones are coming up and waiting here. Looks like Kesgrave is growing. That's good. Okay, cool. Right. So one of the second things that I wanted to do with this particular change is to continue on the NeoBurgh Express 2, which currently terminates at Upper Knaresborough. This effectively culminates the two lines that we were going to put in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove out what we've got here. And just tweak it ever so slightly, but it comes into this other section of track. Just want to make sure that all looks nice. It looks okay. I'm going to put that through there first and then continue it up to here. And then we just need to put in the signals here. So I would want there to be signals there and there and there. And then the road effectively covers the same area there. What I'll do is an exit stop, but not an entrance stop, because I don't want them to block this other train line here. And let's update the line before we actually go ahead and remove the crossing. But I mean, the track's all there, we just have to put the line in. So at Upper Knaresborough, it will continue on through Ilkeston and then down to Loughton, and then back up through Ilkeston and again through Knaresborough. So we've effectively got a spare track here. I'm not really going to do much with it for now, I don't think. Let's just make sure this is on the right track. So going through, yeah, that's all set up right. And then after number 10, it goes up to Tolaw and continues through. Yeah, that's all set up. Okie dokie. So we're just going to change out how the crossings work here. And instead of removing stops, I'm just going to add them in. And here we have a train coming through now. It's only got 47 people. That might have more going forward because I think Tolaw really wanted to connect up with Ilkeston. It did have a connection technically, because what they could have done before was take this particular line down to West Ham and then swap over onto it's one of these, yeah, this line, where they can then go through down to Ilkeston. But effectively now, this line, this high-speed intercity circular line, actually creates a bit of a shortcut here between the two cities, and that other Crossburg line just means that it connects up Tolaw and Knaresborough to the rest of what we've just put in, so that if someone wants to go from West Ham to, say, Kesgrave, they can swap over at Tolaw and get to where they want to go on those train lines really quickly and easily. And I'm hopeful that that will become quite a prominent line. It was to begin with, so that's why we had 4 trains on it. So let's just go down to number 8. Make sure that it's using that extra trains track just in case it's needed. So that's all set up. That should be a really interesting line. I anticipate. I'm not too sure whether it'll be really popular or not. But it connects up things like Knaresborough to Loughton, and then Knaresborough to all these other cities really quite well, whereas before they had a connection to Littlehampton, but then it didn't really have a connection through other ways. How's the connection to Dover doing? Doesn't really do that many going through there, which is interesting because I would have thought it would have a fair amount of people going down to Littlehampton directly. Looks like we've got one there. It might just be that they're already on the buses, but needless to say, they're not really making that much money, unfortunately. But that's fine. Littlehampton does send a fair few people up to Dover, so it may just be that they're going in other ways, like private transport, considering there's quite a few really good connections there. It may be the same over here, so with those bus lines that we put in, we'll have to wait and see whether they get busier or not. How's down here doing? Looks like we've got some people to go through the other way. It looks like these are the same people that were on at Winsford wanting to go to Shildon. So they've probably just had a really long diversion that they weren't expecting. Bless them. But yeah, it should work. So now that we've put the Knaresborough connection through, hopefully it will really improve Knaresborough's connections to Ilkeston and other cities, but only time will really tell with that. Hopefully it doesn't turn what was quite a profitable line into a not so profitable line, but we'll have to wait and see as well. Wow, there's quite a few people there. I mean, not quite a few, but it'll fill these up. Hello everyone, Future Rob here. We're just going to do a fly through of the finished thing. So we're going to go through the same sequence that we did this at the beginning. So this is Winsford going from Southwold and Hailsham, and then up here we've got Maplethorpe and Sutton. You can see the new line there going through, and we're coming up to Tolaw up here. So there you can see the new lines coming through and some of the new roadworks that we've also put in. And we're going over to Kesgrave now. I've got something else to show you here, so I'm looking forward to that. So you can see the train station there on the right. We've got a little view of Kesgrave going around. And as you can see, this area on the left that we're going to zoom in here is where the train station is. And then up here we've got the Maplethorpe Sutton fly around. I should probably say fly over, really. So yeah, this has been some really big infrastructural changes in NeoBurgh. I'm really happy with how they've gone. I hope you are too. I'm really looking forward to seeing how well the bus lines do. But yeah, this has been it. Thank you. But yeah, that's worked really quite well. I'm hoping that it will really take off with time. But for now, I'm quite happy with what's happened. We've managed to put this line in without too much pain, really. It's been a bit of a longer sort of episode, but it means that this line should hopefully fill a need that was there before, and hopefully we haven't created too much duplication with reducing this line down. So before we were probably gonna connect up NeoBurgh to Kesgrave, whereas now they're connected through the line that already existed and our Crossburgh 1, sorry, line being connected there, so people can still get through down to Kesgrave if they want to from there, and that sort of thing. And I think this creates quite a nice little connection here that means that people can get around this area quite nicely. We've also got the buses, which are going to supplement that connection quite well, I think, because hopefully, I mean, it might be that we need to reduce them down, how many we've got on there. 5 might be a bit too many, but I'd rather have a decent service there rather than go for profit. If we're lucky, once the cities grow, they may well start to see profits come in. This one's really busy. Wow. What we might need to do is put more trains on this line with time. I'm going to let things run for a little while and see how they do. But yeah, that's been an amazing piece of infrastructure that we've just put in, managing to connect up the last of the cities that weren't already connected up to public transport lines. So that will be all of our cities connected via train. So that should be really good for city growth via public connections, destinations, and what have you. Winsford's probably going to grow a fair amount from being able to connect to some of the connections that it wasn't able to before, like Tolaw and Hailsham. Well, no, it did connect to Hailsham, sorry. Maplethorpe Sutton and what have you. This number should be going up. So I'm really hopeful to see how effective that's going to be. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Let me know what you think with your thumbs. If your thumbs simply don't cut it, then let me know with a comment. But other than that, have a great rest of your day. And if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing. It's the best way to catch my content as it comes out. But other than that, all the best. Thanks. Bye.